A clear night sky covered Earth. In a small observatory in Chile, Dr. Rami Patel stared at the screen. His team had picked up a strange signal, something not natural, not from any planet or star. The signal was short, only one sentence, but it repeated again and again. Rami leaned closer as the words finally became clear. You are not ready for the stars. Stay where you are. At first he thought it was a joke, maybe a prank by some satellite hacker. But when other observatories across the globe confirmed the same signal, the world changed. Within hours, the United Nations held an emergency meeting. Top scientists, generals, and world leaders sat around a large digital table, silent and tense. President Eva Chen from the North American Union spoke first. This is not a joke. This is a warning. Someone out there is watching us. Or threatening us, said General Kovacs from Eastern Europe. And they're telling us to stop reaching for the stars. Why now? No one had the answer. The signal had no source. It seemed to come from deep space, but bounced in a way that avoided detection. Whoever sent it knew how to hide. It was advanced, too advanced. Earth had just started sending manned missions past Mars, working on deep space travel. And now someone wanted them to stop. In the weeks that followed, fear spread like fire. Space programs were paused. Telescopes were pointed outward, watching for more signs. News channels ran stories all day. Alien warning? Is humanity being blocked? People panicked. Some believed Earth was in danger. Others thought it was a bluff. Many felt something much worse: humiliation. For the first time, humans were told no by someone stronger. A group called the Galactic Council was mentioned in one follow-up signal. That message came 2 days later and said, "We are the Galactic Council. You are not invited. Stay in your system, break this rule, and suffer." The message was short, cold, and full of power. The council had spoken like a parent scolding a child. They didn't offer peace. They didn't ask questions. They gave orders. But Earth is not a child. Earth remembers every fight, every war, every time it was told you can't. And Earth always answered. In the shadows, nations began to work together. Secret labs were activated. Military satellites went dark, hidden from public view. Earth was angry, but it did not shout. It planned. It listened. It waited. In a hidden underground base, a young scientist named Malik ran simulations. He wasn't trying to decode the signal anymore. He was trying to find its origin. Using a mix of quantum AI and old human logic, he discovered something odd. The signal had fingerprints, not human, but digital fingerprints left in the pattern. It meant something shocking. The message was not just sent, it was meant to be heard by humans only. Other civilizations probably never got it. That raised a bigger question. Why target Earth? Malik brought the data to the United Nations. Some believed it. Some refused to accept it. But the president listened carefully. They're afraid of us, she said quietly. Others laughed at the idea. What could Earth do against alien powers? But the president did not smile. Fear doesn't come from weakness. It comes from knowing someone could become strong. A private meeting was held that night. The world leaders voted. Should they obey the Galactic Council and stay silent, or should they reply? It was not a long vote. The next day, a message was prepared. It was not threatening. It was not loud. It was not even long, but it carried weight. The signal was translated into the same format as the Council's language and sent. From Earth's largest array in Siberia, it said, "We decide our path. Who are you to stop us?" Then they waited. The skies were quiet. The stars didn't blink. But something in the silence had changed. The message was heard, and something, was now on its way. Far from Earth, in the cold dark between galaxies, 3 ships shifted course. They were massive, ancient, and not human. Were covered in strange symbols, their engines powered by things Earth could not yet understand. And now they were headed straight for the solar system. Earth had spoken. Now the galaxy would answer. Earth would not bow. Not this time. Not ever. 3 weeks passed. Earth waited. The sky looked the same. The stars were still quiet. But something felt wrong. At NASA's Deep Space Center, a young woman named Lynn watched the data screen. She had not slept for 20 hours. Her eyes were tired, but she refused to look away. Then, just before sunrise, she saw it as shadow in space. It was not a comet, not a rock, not a satellite. It was a ship. Lynn called her supervisor. Within minutes, the room was full. They zoomed in. The object was huge, almost 20 kilometers long. It moved slowly, just outside the solar system. Then 2 more appeared behind it. 3 ships. No heat signatures, no messages. Just cold silence. Just cold silence. Soon, every major space agency confirmed it. The objects were alien. They were not drifting. Earth went into emergency mode. Military bases became active. Fighter jets patrolled skies. Satellites turned toward the dark. But no attack came. Only silence. At the UN Command Center, President Eva Chen stood with generals and scientists. She looked at the ships on the screen. They had no windows, no weapons they could see. But they gave off a strange energy, like a deep hum only machines could feel. General Kovacs frowned. They're scouts, watching if we follow their order. Dr. Rami Patel, who found the first message, shook his head. They're more than scouts. They're judges. They want to see if we're obedient or dangerous. Earth was not ready to fight, but it was not ready to kneel either. Quietly in secret labs across the world, Project Echo moved forward. It was Earth's secret answer, a way to move without being seen, to speak without being heard, to strike without being known. A new engine was being tested. Yes. It could move a ship using dark space pulses, no light, no heat, no trail. It was called Ghost Drive. Only a few people knew about it. Malik was one of them. He worked in a cold bunker under the ice of Antarctica. Their Earth's smartest minds were building the first ghost ship, a small craft, no bigger than a school bus, but powerful and silent. Malik checked the ship's code, had an AI brain built from human logic, mixed with alien language patterns. Taken from the Council's own signal, this ship would not ask for permission. It would go beyond the jammers. The Council placed around Earth. It would go into the darkness. Above Earth, strange machines began to appear. They looked like black crystals floating in space. These were Council probes. They circled the planet like vultures. It blocked deep space signals. It watched every launch. But humans adapted. Lynn, now part of the Hidden Comes team, found a way to bounce signals through old radio towers on the moon. A small window opened, back door through the jammers. The ghost ship was ready. They named it Whisper. One dark morning, while the world slept, a Whisper was launched from a hidden base in the Pacific Ocean. It flew low in the atmosphere, then disappeared. No light. No sound. Not even the Council probes saw it leave. Malik watched the screen as a Whisper. Past the moon, then Mars, then beyond. Then it blinked off the map. The room froze. Did we lose it? Lynn asked. Malik smiled. No, we hid it, even from ourselves. Now Earth had a ship beyond the Council's reach, but back at one of the Council probes, something strange happened. A hacker named Zara, working from a hidden base in Nairobi, broke through the outer layers of the alien system. She was careful, quiet, and patient. Inside the probe's memory, she found video files. Not of Earth, but of other worlds. Each video showed a different species. Some looked like insects, some like fish, some like fire. They were all beautiful, all different. And now, it's all gone. Each video ended the same way. Council ships appeared. Then silence. The Council didn't just watch rising species. They ended them. Zara copied the files and sent them to the UN. When President Eva watched the files, her hands shook. She turned to the others. They don't fear us because we're violent, she said. They fear us because we're different. We don't follow, we question, we resist. Earth had just learned a terrible truth. The Galactic Council wasn't protecting the galaxy from humans. They were protecting the galaxy from freedom in space. The three council ships remained still, but now Whisper was gone, a ghost in the stars. And Earth had seen the future: obey or vanish. But Earth would never obey, and this time it would not vanish. It would become the silence. The ghost ship, Whisper, was gone, not destroyed. Not missing, hidden, somewhere deep in space. Outside the reach of the Council's sensors, it moved like a shadow, silent and unseen. Earth had sent it as a message, not with words, but with action. We will not stop, will not wait. In a secret command center below the Swiss Alps, President Eva Chen stood with a small group of leaders and scientists. A large screen showed live data from Earth's deep space relays. No one spoke. They all watched a blinking green dot. It's whispered it had reappeared. And not just anywhere. It was inside a council-controlled star system. Malik looked at the data in disbelief. Past 3 sensor walls. It's inside their core zone. And they haven't seen it. Whisper had done the impossible. It had gone where no one was allowed to go, and survived. Now, it was recording everything. It saw massive cities floating in space, built on giant rings around blue stars. It saw ships the size of islands, docking and launching without end. It saw other species too, some walking, some flying, some glowing like light. All of them were quiet. All of them were afraid. Whisper recorded their silence and sent it back to Earth. The Council didn't rule with war. They ruled with control, information, fear, isolation. Any species that questioned the rules was erased. Not with bombs, but with silence. Their signals blocked, their names deleted. Their homeworlds covered in darkness. Earth had seen it in the videos Zara hacked. Now, Whisper was showing it live, but Earth had more than recordings now. It had knowledge. Back in Antarctica, Leak and his team decoded patterns in the Council's communication. They discovered a rhythm like a heartbeat inside the signals. It wasn't random. It was a kind of command code to activate and shut down machines across the galaxy. Malik called it the pulse. It was old, maybe thousands of years. It's built when the Council first arose. It was their weakness, hidden in plain sight. If Earth could learn the pulse, it could speak to their machines, or break them. Zara worked with Malik. She created a system that could copy the pulse and play it back. She called it Mirror Voice. They tested it on a captured probe. The probe shut, down instantly, then restarted. Under Earth's control, Malik stared at the probe's eye as it blinked blue instead of red. "We just hacked the Council," he whispered. Earth was still far behind in weapons, ships, and tech. But now, it had something more powerful. It had the key to the system. Meanwhile, on the edge of the solar system, the Council's watchers began to move. One of the 3 ships turned slowly, pointing a long black antenna toward Earth. Energy built inside it. Was it a weapon? No one knew, but the message was clear. "We are watching. We know. Stop now." At the UN, panic grew. Some leaders wanted to surrender. Others demanded Earth shut down Project Echo. But President Ava stood firm. "We didn't attack them. We only looked." She turned to General Kovacs. "Can Whisper send a message from inside their system?" Kovacs nodded. "Yes, but they'll trace it." They crafted a simple signal. It would be sent from Whisper straight into the Council's heart. Zara typed the words slowly. "We are not children. We are not afraid. We are ready." The message was sent. For 10 hours, space was silent. Then the Council answered. It wasn't a message. It was an image. A photo of Earth. From orbit taken just 1 second ago. Someone was watching from very, very close. Malik's face went pale. "They're already here." The Council had ships hidden in Earth's orbit, cloaked and visible to radar. Probably small like drones. Spies. Ava nodded slowly. "Then they know we're not lying. They know we're ready." That night, Malik sat alone in his lab, watching Whisper's live feed. The ghost ship had reached the center of a Council star city. It floated between towers taller than mountains. Aliens walked below, unaware of the human eye above. Then the screen glitched. A new signal came in. Not from Earth, not from Whisper, from somewhere else. It was short, but clear. You are not alone. We see you. We wait. Malik froze. Someone inside. The Council Zone had seen Whisper, and they were not Council. Was it another species? A rebel? A survivor? The message ended with strange coordinates. They pointed to a dead planet on the edge of the Council's space, a planet that didn't appear on any map. But now, Whisper had a new path. Earth's ghost had been noticed, and now... To talk. Whisper changed direction. The ghost ship turned away from the Council's star city and followed the strange coordinates. No one on Earth spoke as they watched it move deeper into enemy territory. If the Council found it now, it would be over. But Whisper remained invisible. The ship passed dead stars, silent moons, and strange ruins. Then it reached the place from the message, a small planet with no name. It was dry, gray, and broken, like something had destroyed it long ago. But the ship's sensors picked up a signal. Weak. But alive. Malik sat up straight. There's someone down there. President Ava, General Kovacs, and Zara watched the feed as Whisper dropped lower, close to the surface. The ship scanned the ground. Then a door opened, a hatch hidden in the rock. It slid open slowly, like it hadn't moved in 100 years. Inside was a tunnel and a voice. Come in. Hurry. They are watching. Earth couldn't believe it. Someone had survived the Council. Whisper entered the tunnel. It found a small base, underground, old, but active. Inside were 5 beings, not human. They looked like soft blue light with long arms and dark eyes. Their voices were calm, almost sad. We are the Tarak, one said. We lived long before your world had fire. We reached the stars too fast. The Council came. They erased our name. They burned our cities, but we hid, the Tarak told their story. They were once a proud people, full of science and peace. But they had grown quickly, like humans were doing now. The Council saw them as a threat, so they acted, not with war. With fear, they turned Tarak's allies away. They cut their signals. They sent drones. They broke the will of an entire race without firing a shot. Only a few Tarak escaped. Now, they had watched Earth rise. We see your fire, one said. Your voice is loud. It scares them. President Ava listened carefully. Will you help? Us, the Tarak answered. We can teach. But you must choose the fight. Back on Earth, Malik and Zara began receiving old Tarak data maps, systems, and a special signal, the Council's relay pulse. It was the heart of their power. Every command, every control order, every drone update ran through a giant relay station. There were many across the galaxy, but only one controlled this part of space. If Earth hit that station, they could send a message the Council couldn't block, or they could break the Council's hold. General, Kovacs wanted to attack. We destroy the relay. We send our answer and fire. Some disagreed. They feared war, but President Ava stood up. They warned us. We spoke back. Now they watch from our orbit. This isn't fear, it's control. And we are not theirs to control. The decision was made. Earth would strike, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to speak. And this time, everyone would hear. The ghost ship Whisper was reprogrammed. Its mission changed. It would fly to the relay station. It would use the Council's own pulse, and then it would deliver Earth's first true answer. The message was short. Zara wrote it with Malik. You wanted silence? Here it is. The words would come with a code that would crash the relay, but not destroy it. A clean shutdown. A warning. It was risky. If the Council responded fast, Whisper would be caught. Earth would be exposed, but they had to try. The ghost ship left the Tarak's hidden base and flew silently toward the relay. Earth watched. Every second felt heavy, closer. Thousands of drones moved around it. Whisper drifted between them, unseen. Malik pressed the final command. The pulse was sent. Then silence. The relay blinked. Once, twice. Then shut down. Across 17 alien worlds, lights went out, ships froze, drones stopped, orders failed. The Council's voice had gone silent. Ava watched. From the command room, she whispered to herself, they wanted silence. But the moment was short, because just minutes later, Earth's sky changed. From the darkness above the planet, 3 bright flashes appeared. The Council's ships had powered up. They knew, and they were ready to answer. But Earth was not afraid anymore, because now the galaxy knew the truth. The stars were quiet again, but it was not peace. It was the kind of silence that comes just before a storm. After the relay station went dark, the Council didn't speak. No message, no warning, no demand. Instead, their 3 massive ships moved closer to Earth. Slowly, steadily, like lions walking toward their prey from orbit. They looked like mountains floating in the sky. People on Earth could see them without a telescope. Fear spread again, but it was different this time. This was not the fear of being helpless. This was the fear of what might come next in the United Nations Command Center. President Ava Chen stood tall. She looked calm, but inside, she knew the truth. Earth had crossed a line. The Council had shown mercy before, maybe, but now they were angry, and still, Earth would not bow. General Kovacs slammed his hand on the table. They're going to attack. We should strike first, no, Ava said. We don't show power by firing first. We show it by standing strong. Zara spoke next. Then let's speak, in their language. On their ground, a bold plan was born. The Council had one place where diplomacy was allowed a place. Known only through rumors and old intercepted signals, it was called the Core Hall, a giant station in deep space. No weapons, no armies, just words. No species had ever stood there and challenged the Council, because none had ever survived long enough to try. Now, Earth would send one. His name was Dr. Elias Rain, a historian, a philosopher, and a man who believed. In truth, over fear, he had no weapons, no army, just knowledge and humanity's final message. His ship, Emissary 1, was launched from Earth 2 days later. It carried only 1 passenger, 1 AI, and 1 goal, to stand before the Council. Speak. The journey to the Core Hall was long, silent. No drones followed. No warning stopped them. It was as if the Council wanted this. When Elias arrived, the Core Hall opened like a flower in space. Inside, it was beautiful and cold. Floating platforms surrounded a glowing center. Council members appeared, some in ships, some in projection. Beings of many forms. Some tall and bright, others dark and formless, but all of them looked down on Elias. He stood on a small platform in the center. They didn't greet him. They didn't speak. They only watched. Then a deep voice echoed. Why? Are you here, human? Elias didn't flinch. I bring our answer, he said. You were told to stay silent. We chose to speak. You broke our law. We were not part of it. You threatened peace. No, Elias said. We threaten your control. A ripple of sound passed through the Council, some shocked, some angry. But Elias continued. You say, we are not ready. But we learned to cross space. We learned to listen. And we saw what you did to the others. A screen lit up behind him. Zara had sent the hacked files images of other civilizations destroyed. The Tyrak, the Luray, the blind builders of the asteroid cities. You erase those who grow too fast. You fear change. Another voice, sharp and cold, spoke. You think you can fight us? Elias smiled. We already did, but not with guns. With truth. A third voice spoke, older than the others. What do you want? This was the moment. The message the whole world helped write. Elias looked straight into the glowing eye of the hall and spoke clearly. We want nothing. We only want to rise, just like you did long ago, and we want your silence. The same silence. You forced on others. The council did not answer. For the first time, they hesitated. One figure floated forward. It looked like light and shadow mixed together. It spoke slowly. I have seen the files. They speak truth. Gasps spread across the hall. One of the council members had broken rank. The others turned toward it, voices rising in alien languages, some in anger, some in fear. But the human, Elias, said nothing more. He simply stood, a human alone in a room of gods. And he did not bow. Back on Earth, people waited. The feed from Emissary 1 was being broadcast across the globe. Every child, every old man, every woman and soldier. They watched. Then the screen blinked once. A single signal came through. It read, Council in session. Decision pending. Entire galaxy now held its breath. Would they attack? Would they surrender? Or would they finally listen? The council did not reply for 2 full days. In that time, the galaxy trembled. Across 100 star systems, council-controlled species waited. Ships stopped moving. Trade routes froze. The great AI voice known as Oracle, which spoke orders across space, went silent. The last signal Oracle gave was short. Stand by. Earth has spoken. On Earth, people watched the skies. News channels played one question again and again. What happens now? In secret bases, Earth's leaders worked fast. They didn't wait for the council's decision. They moved. President Ava Chen activated Protocol Rise. Across the planet, 5 ghost ships launched newer versions of Whisper. Each carried stealth tech and AI minds trained in pulse code. But this time, they were not alone, because Earth was not the only one watching. Hidden messages began arriving from distant stars. A signal from the ice world of Varric. A whisper from the red moons of Tal-A Orion. A broadcast from the deep mines of night. They all said the same thing. We see you. Join you. Free us. Zara sat in the command center, reading each message with tears in her eyes. They were all silent for so long, she said. But now, they're waking up. The council's silence had opened a door, an Earth small loud. Wild Earth had stepped through it first in orbit above Earth. Something changed. The 3 council ships powered down their weapons. Then they sent out small Beaconsteiny drones, each broadcasting a new signal. Prepare for review. Core Hall vote begins. General Kovacs stared at the screen. There. Not attacking, Ava nodded slowly. They're afraid not of us, but of what we've started. Meanwhile, in space far from Earth, the ghost ships reached their targets. Each one flew to a council-controlled sector, but they did not fire. They liberated. Ship 1 reached Talaran, where a species called the Drell had lived under drone control. For 200 years, the ghost ship hacked the drones and shut them down. The Drell cheered in the streets. They lit fires. They sang songs they were forbidden to sing for generations. Ship reached a mining world where workers were kept underground. By Council AI, the ship destroyed the control towers with silent precision. The workers rose, saw stars for the first time. Ship 3 reached Varric, a cold planet where heat was given only to those who obeyed. Now warmth spread across every village as Earth's ghost ship gave back the power. Malik watched the reports. Come in. We're not fighting a war, he said. We're freeing voices. The council knew, and they didn't stop it. Because now, they were divided. Inside the core hall, Elias still stood on the speaking platform. He had not been removed. Not been silenced around him, the council argued. Some demanded Earth be punished. Some demanded Elias be erased. But others, quiet at first, now stood beside him. One by one, members spoke. Earth is dangerous. Yes, but so were we once. They moved too fast. Maybe we have moved too slow. They will bring chaos, or they will bring choice. And then Oracle, the great AI voice of the council, returned. But this time, it spoke. To Elias. Why did you strike the relay? Elias stood tall. To show we can, but also to show we didn't destroy it. We could have, but we didn't. Why not? Because we don't want your power. We want our future. The hall was quiet. Then Oracle said, "Final vote begins."
Across the council, lights blinked, red for silence Earth, green for accept them. One by one, lights turned green. Some red remained.
But not enough. The vote was clear. The council would not erase Earth. They would acknowledge it for the first time in history. A new message was broadcast to the galaxy, translated into every known language, and even the unknown ones. A message. Written by Earth, approved by the council. No voice will be silenced. No world will be blocked. Let the stars be open to all. The core law was changed. Elias bowed his head. Not in fear. Not in surrender. But in respect the kind Earth had earned. Back on Earth, people cried. Some cheered. Some fell silent, unable to believe it. Not long ago, they were told to stay where they were. Now, they had changed the law of the stars. A new age began. The stars were still the same, silent, far, and endless, but the rules were not. The council had voted. Earth was no longer blocked, no longer watched, was no longer told to be quiet. For the first time in history, a rising species had answered back and been heard. It started with a single message. Let the stars be open to all. And from that moment, the galaxy changed. The council pulled back its watchers. The 3 ships orbiting Earth turned slowly and left, not in anger, not in defeat, but in silence. A different kind of silence. A silence born from respect across the stars. The news spread fast. On the cold worlds of Varric, on the red moons of Toleran, and deep inside the forgotten tunnels of the Tyrak, people stood tall for the first time in generations. No more hiding, no more fear. Earth had shown them another way. In every school on Earth, children were taught the day it happened, not the day the council accepted humanity, but the day humanity accepted itself not as a small blue planet, but as a voice in the stars. President Ava Chen stood before the United Nations for the final speech of her term. Her voice was strong. Her words simple. We were told to stay small. We were told to be quiet. Instead, we listened. We learned, and when it was time to speak, we didn't shout. We didn't beg. We just answered. Zara stood beside Malakin, the Earth Space Network tower. Together, they watched as Whisper returned home, flying low through the clouds. The ghost ship had started it all. Now, came home not as a weapon, but as a symbol. Not of war, of choice. On the Tyrak homeworld, the last survivors walked into the sunlight for the first time in 200 years. One of them, old and bright, with light, whispered, "The silence is broken." In a small village in Africa, a little boy looked at the stars and asked his grandfather, "What happened when the humans spoke?" The old man smiled. They didn't yell. They didn't run. They stood, and the galaxy listened. The council didn't fall, but it changed. Oracle, once a voice of control, now became something new. It didn't give orders anymore. It asked questions. Across the core hall, new seats were added, one for Earth and one for every species once silenced. A seat of equals, not rulers. Years passed, then decades. Earth grew. It didn't conquer planets. Didn't raise fleets. It helped build bridges. It protected the weak. It stood as proof that fire, when controlled, gives light, not just heat. Some species feared them still. Some watched with careful eyes. But no. One called them children again. No one told them to stay behind, because now they were the reason others moved forward. Back in space, a small probe floated through the dark. It was old, made of metal and solar panels. Launched long before the Council even knew Earth existed, Voyager 1. Still, traveling, still carrying a golden record of humanity one day. A small alien ship found it. They played the message. Hello from the children of planet Earth. And this time, the stars answered back. They provoked Earth. They tried to silence it, but in the end, it wasn't Earth's weapons that made the galaxy go quiet. It was Earth's answer. Now that silence belongs to us all.